Welcome back to Wisconsin Tonight. Many people are now comfortably cruising along Wisconsin roadways at 70 miles an hour.
But some drivers prefer to go slower. Can the two really share the roadway safely?
Well, joining us tonight is Ann Scallon. She is the publisher and editor of Before the Wheel. We appreciate you coming in, Ann.
Thank you.
I know you're sort of an expert in all of this. What's the best way to avoid road rage when you are driving?
I think it's important when you're driving to be willing to make a lot of changes and adapt to the driving situation. So maybe things, there are not a lot of people on the road, and you're in the left lane or the middle lane, you're not going that fast. When other drivers start approaching and they want to pass, you need to move all the way over to the right.
So what are the risks if slower drivers refuse to leave that left lane, that passing lane?
What happens is the faster drivers will continue to go fast and they'll start passing on the right. They'll use whatever lane is available. So then you get a lot of weaving, you get a lot of different speeds in all the different lanes. So it makes it a much more dangerous situation.
Sometimes at night you can see them blinking their lights, hey, get out of the lane because I'm going faster.
Yeah, I do it. I'm not playing. I don't want to be hurt. Now, what do you say to people? Now, a lot of people say, oh, I can go 10 miles over. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, 70's the new 80.
Right, and that is not the case. We are still in a very populated area. I mean, a 2-hour radius from Milwaukee is still very populated. So it's really not designed for people to go 80 miles an hour. We're not out in Wyoming and no one's around.
Be smart.
One of the things I notice is that getting on the highway now, where the speed limit is 70, you really have to make sure you're getting up to speed, because if people are going 70 or 75, to enter into that lane is taking a little bit longer. So I guess another question for you, though, is how do drivers avoid a speed trap where these speeds suddenly drop?
Right. You really need to be aware. If you are approaching a bigger city, a more populated area, that is going to drop down quite a bit. And in Wisconsin, it does go from 70 to 55.
Right.
And so that's a big change. You've got to be aware of construction zones. There are a lot of those in the summer. And even if you're approaching toward Illinois, there's that drop. And so you really need to be watching the signs. As soon as you pass a sign, you can be ticketed if you haven't changed your speed.
That's very true. And we were talking before, a lot of people don't realize that, you can speed up and you can be all anxious, but really, you save about a minute or a minute and a half. And it really, sometimes you end up right next to the person you sped past and it's the same stop sign. It's kind of ignorant, really.
The weaving doesn't really pay off because in the end, you kind of all end up at the same place about the same time.
So 70 is the new speed limit where it's posted. What is the new minimum now? Did that change?
No. No.
So it's still 55 is the minimum?
Well, 45 was always the minimum, but
okay.
55 was the original, and then 65.
Yeah, then we, okay,
So.
all right.
And a lot of people love to drive, and when you're out on the road, especially in the summer, but I always think one of the things that scares me is we have a lot of bicyclists, and, and we're talking about in the residential in the city, but you have a lot of people out, kids and bikes and people playing and walking. So I almost am more defensive, especially these days in this weather.
Right. I think you have to be very alert. You have to be watching. I always say driving is really a critical thinking task because everything is changing quickly. People dart out. That happens to me almost daily. I move downtown and people just dart out everywhere. So you really need to be aware.
Critical thinking without any multitasking.
Exactly.
No texting, no phone talking.
Definitely none.
Okay, helpful information from Ann Scallon, from author of Before the Wheel. We have all this information on our website, WTMJ4.com/Wisconsin Tonight.